Morning, folks. Give us a few seconds here to get 5x5. It's cold out here. My face is feeling it right now. Just so y'all know. All right. I'm just checking to see if we're 5x5 here. Here we go. We're good to go here, folks. How y'all doing this morning? So, congrats really quick to Jonathan Hicks for being the first one here. And also, there will be no rapping taking place this morning. I think that's the prepping preacher, right? I got caught lurking last night. I was over at Six Shooters live stream. I was lurking. They caught me, and he was playing the banjo. He's awesome at the banjo. And it turns out I have no musical talent. So they're like, John, you can rap. And I'm like, nah, son, I don't like rap music either. I don't like anything. How y'all doing this morning? Robert Winslow's in the house. Leslie, mods, Matt, Big Red, thank y'all for being here. To all the mods. Mother Teresa, WM, good morning. Jeff the Ref, I like the name, it rolls off the tongue. American Trucker, good morning. And I also saw the comment earlier when I was making my first cup of coffee, this is number 2, where your wife said she would have been first this morning, but she's driving, making your money, right? Blue Coat Cowboy, good morning. USA Prepping, Terry D, Slow Chat is on, and I'm still having trouble here. River Rat, good morning. Outlaw Farms, Glenn Potter, Worminati. All right, so the question this morning, and if you came here for the answer, spoiler alert, I don't know what's in the shipping containers, but we're going to talk about it nonetheless. The question this morning for you folks in the chat, because I want to know what's in the shipping containers. What are your projections? What's on the bingo card? According to the poll that we have here live, 64% of you think it's simply imported goods sitting there going to waste. 65% just moved. And the rest of you think it's something far worse. I'm inclined to agree with the lobby here this morning that it is nothing but imported goods and incompetence. But as several of you have pointed out over the last week and a half maybe, there could be something far worse in there. And the first theory I heard was, it's Chinese soldiers. And I'm like, well, there's no way. This is off the coast of California. They'd be dead by now, son. If you open the shipping containers after several weeks and they launched their invasion, they would come out with white flags, like the white t-shirts, saying, please, just feed us and water us. We did. We died. Yeah, not going to rap. Sorry. Hate rap music. But then some of you pointed out, well, it could be supplies for an invasion, or it could potentially be the stuff to let off EMPs. And I love a good conspiracy theory, and that got my mind working. I will say that scenario is possible. Okay, there's a huge difference between probable and possible. Probable in this situation, again, is imported goods. It's probably just the stuff that we need that we're not seeing showing up on our shelves and things like that, okay? But the possibility does exist. It does exist. We know the Chinese are up in Canada training. They've been there for a while. They've been caught on video. That video is actually on YouTube. It's several years old, but they haven't went anywhere. They've been training. We have these shipping containers on both coasts here in the United States, and they're stacking up. And of course, we have what I would consider to be an invasion at our southern border as well. So I'm curious. Of course, I'm going to miss a bunch of chat because I'm running my mouth. But I will go back in and look. Mary Jane says most of it is imported crap. I'm inclined again to agree with you, but the possibility does exist. And when I'm looking, I don't think it's Nuke's Song of the South, because I think that they're not going to tear their own investment up. But when I'm thinking about the possibility of an invasion, something like EMP strikes, for example, that would cripple the country almost immediately. And then they would just be able to walk in. It would be a soft takeover at that point. There'd be some rednecks that were rowdy up in the hills somewhere, but by and large, we would not be able to fight it off. For the person that was asking, I still have my Antifa looking beanie, but like I said, it's actually cold out here. I'm not trying to be cool this morning, and this is it's a military issue. I linked it below. It's in wool cap 100% wool, but it's OD green. OD green's my favorite. I know some people don't like it, but it's OD green for me all the way in terms of camo. The Chinese robo-soldiers, I mean, that's a stretch. I'm not saying you're wrong. It could be robot technology. We don't know. I think the thing is, in the prepping community, I've seen and been lurking on many different chats where theories are getting thrown all over the place. And I think it's just that these containers have sat there for so long that people are, you know, the curiosity's killing us at this point. We just want to know what's in there. Drones, that's possible. OD Green, USA veteran, gets it. Terminators, I doubt it. You know, but there's probably a video or two floating around here on YouTube, especially in the prepping community, about Terminators and stuff. I do think technology is going to take over in the future, and I do think that that's a bad thing. We're headed for Skynet, but I don't necessarily think these things are packed with robots or clowns. Thank you, Soul Prepper. Or clowns, unless we're talking about TIFAs, foot soldiers. I consider them to be clowns. Biohazard, that is very possible, River Rat. That is also something to strongly consider. But is Canada having the same problem, Susan? I mean, I'm sure they're having shortages, but not that I'm aware of, not when it comes to the ports. And I may be wrong on that. DeSantis just said yesterday, he said, we can handle the stuff. We have the people at our ports ready to accept all of this stuff if you can get it here. And the White House is purposefully, I guess for political reasons, not going to allow that to happen. They would rather lock the country down and punish people. It's like the, what is the pirate saying, you know, the beatings will continue until morale improves. It feels a whole lot like the beatings are going to continue for the average citizen here in America until the compliance improves. Mother Teresa, that's a good point. All of our Walmart returns in the containers. I meant to mention that. I forgot to write it down, so thank you for bringing it up. Walmart, who are the other ones? Amazon and Radio Shack. No, I'm kidding about Radio Shack, but I miss them. Costco, I believe it's Costco. They have actually chartered their own ships. They have purchased their own shipping containers to try and avoid a holiday jam up. Man, but now I'm thinking about Radio Shack. Militant Roots, grow food people. Absolutely. That is a weapon of the future. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Susan S., for that as well. So, yeah, I'm going to go back through. I'm going to see what's in the storage containers. Go ahead and mark it on your bingo card. Now, I am saying on the record, it's probably just goods that we need and we're being punished. However, I think there's an outside chance that there's you know, EMP, or somebody had said a biohazard weapon. That's also very good. So to touch on yesterday's video, there's a couple of things I need to mention. Number one, I said we had lost in Afghanistan, and I caught some email for that yesterday afternoon. And so let me just address that. When I said we lost in Afghanistan, what I was trying to say is not necessarily that our soldiers lost. Our soldiers didn't lose. They were winning battles. I was talking about the military leadership. It was the blind leading the blind in Afghanistan, and they really, I think, did a disservice to the servicemen and women that were over there. We did not lose battles, but we dumped a ton of resources, ton of money, and there was a huge human cost for the United States, and we gained this in the end. So to me, that's a loss. But again, that's on military leadership. Sage News, email me. Thank you for that. And email me. I'm interested to see what that's about. Come back, Radio Shack. Come back, Belt King. I know, man. They did. One of their last commercials was an all 80s video, and it still brings a crocodile tear to my eye. The other thing was the Constitution. I said the Constitution was illegal. It was actually the Declaration of Independence. But what I was the point I was trying to make, and I probably did a bad job of it, is that whole time period was really filled with people that just said, screw the law. We're going to do it our way. And the Constitution was born from that. So I just wanted to clarify that. But thanks for the people that pointed that out in chat yesterday. You are correct. Also, there were a few conservatives yesterday that wanted a shout out. They said they are in liberal strongholds and they are trying to hold the line as conservatives. So I wanted to mention this morning, you're not alone. There are a lot of people probably right now in chat as I'm this high-tech setup I got, the coffee club, they know what I'm talking about. A lot of conservatives in here are in the same spot, surrounded by liberalism, and they're just trying to be conservatives. From time to time, I actually get an email from somebody in Silicon Valley that's a conservative, and they tip me off to things here and there. Haven't heard from them in a little while, though. But yeah, you're not alone. It's that way throughout the country. You know what I mean? We're doing the best we can. So, Southwest Airlines has announced, well, they had said, a week ago, if you don't comply, you're out of a job. And then they start a little over a week ago, and they started dealing with massive call-outs. They started losing millions of dollars is what happened. Yesterday, they went on record and they basically said, psych, we're just kidding, son. We were never going to do that. We're not going to fire you. Please come back to work. We are losing a ton of money. And that's exactly what happened. We had discussed this last week. Corporations, they have no actual stance. They go whichever way the wind blows and the money flows. So Southwest Airlines now totally, yeah, I got you, Matt said. Southwest Airlines totally flipping their stance because of millions of dollars lost. And good on them pilots, Shelby said, absolutely, and also the rest of the crew, like baggage handlers and everything, were doing the same thing. And it was starting to spread throughout the airline industry. And I hope it keeps it up until changes are made. And also, speaking of psych or I gotcha, the Biden administration is now backing off of the $600. Remember the whole ridiculous, if you have $600 in the bank, we're now going to be able to go through the bank and find out what you spend your money on. They've now, because of backlash, they've backed off of that. And now they're saying $10,000 in the bank. So I'm officially in the clear probably forever. But this is what happens when you get galvanized as patriots and you stand together, you can't actually make change. You hit them in the pocketbook, or you call people, Congress and senators and things, your local representatives. That doesn't work always. 10,000 annually. Okay, thank you. I did not know it was annually. Calling your representatives doesn't always work. But I promise you, the way you spend your money, if you stick to your guns, where you at, NFL crowd, if you stick to your guns and enough people do it, they get the message. So I just wanted to mention that this morning. Who do you think will win the governor's race, Susan? It is tight. It is a tight governor's race. But as I said, I was lurking in Six Shooters chat last night, and he's up in that area. He's up near Northern Virginia. And he says, it doesn't matter. There's a very high likelihood McCullough's going to win anyway. So I don't know if this is him not trusting the system. I don't know if they just have this many independents that are going to sway that way. It's probably not going to turn red in Virginia. I wish it would. That would be nice. Maybe it would spread its wings and come down here. Quit watching the NFL years ago. Charlie B. Same. The last time I watched, let me see. Oh, my God. I can't even tell you the last time I watched the NFL. Like who was the top player at that time. I don't know. I don't even know. The Patriots were in the Super Bowl, but, this is, who cares? I don't watch it anymore. I do sometimes watch Canadian football, but other than that, I'm not really into sports all that much, to be honest. So the intel that's down below, conservatives don't play. There you go, Tim. England, they have announced, and again, the link's down below if you want to click it after the fact. They have announced that they may be kicking back over to Plan B. So in England, they have Plan A and Plan B. Plan A is, hey, you have freedom. You get to move about the country. You've been a good little lemming. Plan B is, now you're going to be restricted again. Now the potential lockdowns come. The same kind of stuff that we saw at the beginning of the pandemic. They're now shifting because their numbers are up. They're shifting back over. It sounds like the plan B. And I bring this up because we're typically a month or two behind here in the United States. The narrative, I don't know why that is. The narrative, England, the UK, anytime it's happening over there, it's pretty much a preview of what we're going to see over here. And I need to also mention, I didn't believe it. I got an email last night, and this person is in Australia. I think it was Northern Australia. And they said that they are actually getting fined by their employers $5,000 if they do not take the whiskey shot. And this blows my mind. So I start Googling it, and sure enough, it's true. I think it was Northern Australia, $5,000 fine. And they're being told you have to take some time off. I cannot imagine a scenario here in the United States where employers start fining people $5,000 and people stick around. That was just nuts to me. Milton Roots, does anyone actually think they'll let Youngkin win? If it's a fair election, he has a chance. If it is not fair, he has no chance. And it's all just a big pony show. The last time I checked, it was neck and neck up there. Yes, Cast Iron says, yes, $10,000 plus transactions trigger a Fed report. I think it's been that way for a while, but thank you. Night of the Living Prepper, I saw that. I don't know if YouTube is going to keep flagging it, but I saw that comment. He basically saying take that $5,000 fine and stick it where the sun don't shine. I think that would be a lot of people's feelings and thoughts here in the United States. But it blows my mind that people in Australia are going along with this and paying the fine. So pay attention to the news today. They are voting supposedly later on the Freedom to Vote Act. That's a huge deal because that's going to shape the way that we are allowed to vote in the future. I was actually digging into it last night while I was listening to Six Shooter until I got caught lurking. And they're changing like the forms of ID that you must have, and it would be nationwide, and it can be digital. So for example, you can have a picture on your phone of an ID from an employer or something like this. And that's enough to allow you to vote in the United States nationally. Republicans are trying to fight this. They want some more concrete identification. They don't like the idea of being able to mass vote by mail, I guess. People say voting by mail as it stands right now and absentee balloting, they'll try and make that comparison and say it's the same thing, but it's really not. In many states, to get an absentee ballot, you have to prove that you're supposed to be here and that you're supposed to vote. And the fear is people would be voting that aren't even supposed to be here. And this happens right now in some states, but they're trying to nationalize it. And so that is basically what the bill is about at this point. And some on gerrymandering as well. Ron C., they did not say if it was a first-time fine or not. I should have asked. That's a really good question. But it wouldn't matter. I wouldn't pay it regardless. I already got my mail-in ballot, Mother Teresa. There were people in the prepping community, not necessarily here, but I remember seeing them in the community last year that were saying we got 2 and 3 in the mail. Mail-in ballots, with the same name on them. I'm like, well, this isn't good. And I think Trump at one point in time was like, fill them out and mail them in. I don't know that you necessarily should do that. But it just goes to show you that it's not really a great system. When you get into mail-in ballots and stuff, a lot of mistakes apparently get made. Dusty, I got a letter saying I'm registered in 2 states. Well, when it comes time to pay state taxes, buddy, I would pay it in one of those 2 states, whichever was the lowest. And I would fax that letter to the other state and be like, They will, oh man, that's a good one. Charlie B, they'll push the passport in order to vote. That is probably coming at some point. That is probably coming. They're going to punish you, again, pirate style, any way possible. You're going to take the lashings across the back until you comply. Good for kindling, Art Matters says. Amber Z, you got 4? Is that what you're trying to say? If so, that's ridiculous. Wait a minute. Joni says there's over 1,000 in chat. Oh my God. I did not even realize. Yeah, thank you, Big Red. Thank you for that. Yeah, let me sit up tall now. There are a bunch of people in here. I didn't realize. I start getting nervous when it hits 1,000 because YouTube starts to watch, you know. So to you newbies, welcome. And let's see here. Freedom to Vote Act. Dozens of first responders in Seattle yesterday quit. I think they said there were a little over 100 police officers. The videos are on YouTube. And there were a bunch of firefighters. They went in at one time. They turned everything in. They went back outside. And they started feeding homeless. And people on social media are thrashing them. They're saying, well, you know, good riddance and all this stuff. We didn't need you anyway. But you really did. Because a lot of the first responders, whether they're firemen, police officers, etc., they've been there for a long time. And they already have the training. Okay, it costs time and money to retrain someone else and get them to that level. So you're throwing all of those years of training and all of the money you've invested in these people away. And this is assuming that people apply for the jobs that are now vacant, which they don't seem to be doing in Seattle. Seattle has a huge problem with, you know, retaining and getting new law enforcement, especially. So they're in serious trouble. Couple more things, and we're going straight over into the chat. Okay, Jennifer Grubb, who's a Nation member, her community is having a fundraiser, and the link is down below. The reason I bring this up, they are actually giving away part of a cattle food, folks, meat, real meat, not Bill Gates meat, real meat. So if you're interested, that's down below. I told her I would mention that this morning, and I have a story for you. Story time, son. This we got at Aldi, Maple Coffee. Do not ever buy this coffee, and I'm gonna explain why. I'm blasting them right now. So it sucks. Not only does the coffee itself suck, we picked it up on sale. Miss Nation bought it. Okay, I was buying the bag stuff, and she's like, "Oh, this is on sale." So I go to pick her up from work the other day. She said, she opens the door. She don't even get in the car, son. She opens the door. She's like, what in the world is that smell? What is that god-awful smell? I said, I don't know what you're talking about. She said, have you been eating pancakes? I said, no. No pancakes today, especially not in the car. And we finally figure out it's the coffee. And I'd been drinking it most of the day, 2 or 3 cups. So I guess I was immune to it. I'd been smelling it all day. So she swears up and down it's the coffee. I'm like, nah, son, you done lost your mind. I'm wearing Duke Cannon. That stuff is strong. The Duke Cannon soap and cologne. Anyway, we get home. You know, we walk in from the car to the front door. I open the front door, and it smacks me across the face. It like kicks me like a boot. Yeah, it's the coffee. This stuff, it like comes out of your pores like sweat. I don't know what they put in this stuff, but it is sickening. The entire house still, and this is a couple of days ago, smells like maple coffee. The furniture smells like, she had the daggone shampooer out trying to do the rugs. I mean, this stuff, don't ever buy it again. This is bad. And there's actually a moral to this story. So I get in a 6-shooters chat yesterday, and Diabetic Prepper, if he's in here, he starts busting on me because I was drinking community coffee yesterday. He's like, oh, that stuff's poop water or something similar to that. And I'm thinking, man, you don't know what I went through. I got the community coffee. Miss Nation bought it for me, so I would throw the rest of this away. I kept 1 K-cup. But anyway, I don't drink coffee. Keith, are you loco? Who doesn't drink coffee? Besides, I thought my wife was the only one. She drinks sweet tea. We need some more coffee drinkers up in here. So yeah, don't ever buy it. When you go to Aldi, I mean, Elbow, I just finished a cup of that maple syrup coffee and you love it. Wow. Go outside for 30 minutes, clear your mind, reflect, whatever. Maybe watch the replay of this live stream and then walk back in and tell me you love it. This stuff smells horrible. I mean, it smells like maple. It smells like maple syrup, but to the point where it smells like somebody sprayed the cologne all through the house. Maple syrup cologne. Indiana Prepper, how you doing, brother? I almost wore the pits this morning. I'm going to wear them tomorrow. I'm going to wear the Pit Vipers tomorrow just so people know what we're talking about. I'll take them off after a couple of minutes, but never touch coffee. Susan S. Really, you have a coffee mug beside your name, though, ma'am. You're in the coffee club. For God's sakes. New sub. Welcome, JL. So what do you folks want to talk about? Prepping wise, news wise, throw it in the chat. We got a little while. I quit rambling early today. Wait a minute here. No, I got one more thing. I wrote it down. Usually in the replay, I spit coffee out. Okay, I'll see that comment. Patriots Pride. I scribbled this down right before I went live. Said, throw a thumbs up or Nancy Pelosi will use your toothbrush. So if you don't, man, son, that's nasty. I'm just saying. But I busted out laughing when I saw that right before I went live, and I'm like, shh, writing it down. Okay. Anyway. No flavored coffee for me. There's nothing wrong with that, Tony. I'm drinking unflavored Dunkin' Donuts this morning. We'll like the breakfast blend, whatever that is. But yeah, I thought I was drinking good coffee with the community coffee, and then, yeah, people were busting on it yesterday, and I'm like, well, maybe it's not so good after all. I thought I was living high on the hog over here. Black Rifle Coffee, T.Y. Stone. It's good coffee. It's not a great company. They kind of went woke on me, but it is good coffee. Magic Preppers in the house. Matt, how you doing? How about we talk about the weaponized incompetence of our government? Oh, there's so many places we could go here, Matt. We have, in my opinion, we have Thief in Chief, and he has a hand up the back of his shirt, a puppeteer that is, in my opinion, an international player, probably somewhere in Asia. You know where I'm talking about, right? We have compromised generals in our military that have backdoor discussions with said country and their military. We have National Guardsmen and women that are being activated to drive school buses and, fix school lunches and things, but they have not been activated to unload the cargo that we have sitting on our coasts in order to get the supply line running again. The puppeteer, Michelle, it would be hard for me to say for sure. He's really, really friendly with China, but, that could be one of those misdirection things, and it could also be Russia. I would pinpoint it on one of those two. Stitchy gets it. The incompetence of government, there isn't enough time in the day. There really isn't. Every morning when I wake up, I'm thinking, oh my God, what am I walking into this morning? I know there's going to be something about Britney Spears and what is that lady's name that can't keep her clothes on? Elizabeth Hurley. She's always in a bikini, son, which is fine. But I don't know why this is a top 5 story in the world right now. There's way too much going on, But, not to offend the Elizabeth Hurley fans up in here, I'm just saying. What kind of coffee do you drink, Magic? Don't you have your own brand of coffee, Matt, over at Magic Prepper? Aren't you working with somebody? I believe you are, because I believe there was one day where I saw that announcement and I felt the salt building up in my eyes in a teardrop because I was jealous. I was like, man, this dude's got his own coffee. What in the world? I'm on that Invader's good stuff. I have a couple of bags, Matt. What is his name? Heavy Duty Country. Doesn't he also work with them? If I'm not mistaken, but I have a couple. And I drank one of the bags. It was, oh my God, it was some kind of spicy chocolate when we went camping. And it was really good. And so we got back, I put the other bag up. It's still sitting up there. I don't want to get into it. I'm saving it. But Invader Coffee, that's excellent stuff, man. Just went, let me see here, stacked Just went through San Francisco, containers stacked 11, I guess, 11 miles, 11 plus miles, and they're 4 and 5 high. Thank you for that intel, brother. I mean, it's ridiculous. That's right, Matt. That's exactly right. Heavy Duty sent it to me. I'm so sorry. I still have his note. But man, I can't say enough about the coffee. The fact that it is that they back veterans and everything is excellent as well. But the coffee itself, wow, good stuff. Maybe I invest too much of my life into coffee, man. I don't know. I kind of sound like a lunatic as I hear myself. I never knew there were so many kinds of coffee, P. Harris. There didn't used to be. I remember growing up, there was like Folgers, JFG, and Maxwell House. And you drank the Folgers, you drank the Maxwell House, and the JFGs and stuff you sprinkled around your house to keep the mice away because they didn't even like it. But now, I mean, there's so many different ones. I have a bunch. We have an Amish community nearby, and they sell really good coffee beans that haven't been roasted. And so I do grab those to vacuum seal because supposedly they last a whole lot longer if they're not roasted. They don't go rancid after a while. Sanka, oh my God, lady. See, I remember Sanka. I remember seeing that stuff. I don't know if they sell it anymore. Do they? And I remember the cheesy commercials. I think it was Folgers, wasn't it? Where the guy comes home and everybody's like, "Oh, Peter, you're home." Nobody's ever done that for me. When I'm carrying Christmas gifts in the middle of the night, my wife's like, "Are you still up?" Nobody ever said, "Peter, you're home." It'd be nice to have that once. Just once. The kids to come in and say, "Dad, you're home." And then have that cheesy music. Good to the last drop. Yes, I remember that now. Chock full of nuts, Prepper Medic. That's good stuff. I do have a couple of bags. And what I like about chock full of nuts, at least in this area, the bags are sealed up very well. So it typically holds a lot longer. I appreciate you being here, man. I need to email you, brother. But thank you for being here and reminding me about Invader Coffee. I'm probably going to order some now. Get me an Invader Coffee mug to go with it. They still sell Sanka. I work in a nursing home. It's in the backup food. Okay. So they do still sell it for you Sanka fans. All 2 of you. What's up, Prepper family? Mask off says. What's up? Trout on dry, only commies don't drink coffee. Well, my wife doesn't like it. She doesn't like it. I didn't realize this was a nationwide thing. I just thought she was weird. I'm Gen X, and my wife, Miss Nation, she's actually a millennial by 1 year, like the last qualifying year to be a millennial. And she, sometimes it shows. I'm like, "You want a cup of coffee?" And she's like, "Nah, I don't drink coffee." Like, whatever, millennial. Chicory, I've tried one time, Romans. I've never thought about mixing it, but it was pretty good. Yeah. Rachel, thank you. She says, "Prepper Nation, you're home." Well, technically I am. I'm sitting out back. Gen X. That's right. There's, for you Survivor fans, God, I don't know how many years ago it's been, because they went woke too, I think, but they had a season where it was like Gen X versus millennials or something, and it was awesome. I connected with everybody that was in Gen X, It was all the working class, the blue-collar people that get thrown out like trash usually. That's the people I connect with. And I'll hear kids in our family, not my kids, but we have nephews and stuff. And they got on that whole kick there for a while. Everybody was saying, "Okay, boomer." And I'm like, you realize the boomers have the money, correct? They actually own things. And your generation owns nothing but debt. And then they shut up real quick. I ain't heard it since. Homestead Homeboy. John, what's up, big dog? Gas prices. Gas is, in my area, brother, it's $3.19. And no signs of going down. Thank you for that, by the way. 8 o'clock. I've never tried 8 o'clock, Joseph. I've seen that in the store. It's not everywhere. And also loose. I love Cafe Bastelio, I guess that's how you say it. I can't even find that here. I had somebody send some a while back. I think they were in Florida, though. We don't even have it here. I can't go to the store and buy it. I suppose I could order it. It's at Aldi. Milton Roots. I've never actually seen it there. Not at. We have a local Aldi, but it's how can I put this? It's a very small and sad Aldi compared to what you guys are probably used to. They have a limited selection. They forego the good stuff to sell this stuff. $3.29 in Elkin, brother. Well, thank you for that, Homestead Homeboy. I guess I know we're going to be changing soon to $3.29 then. $3.70 for mid-grade. My car is not worthy of mid-grade, so. Richard, there's no cow in the word coffee. I know. Hills Brothers, we do have that here. Gail, we do have it. I don't know that I've ever tried it, though. Jennifer Cruz said, Cafe Bastelio will put hair on your chest. If what I remember is correct, it was strong. Way strong. 409 in Central California. I really do feel bad for people that are in California, you know. Thanks, Shorty. Because people think of California, and I guess other states as well, but California especially, and they think they're just a bunch of commies. But the truth is they're like all the rest of us, okay? They're conservatives in rural areas being dominated by liberals in huge cities. And it sucks. And Wolverines. You know what, Salty Gummer? I love the name again, by the way. I love it every morning. I have figured out a way, thanks to somebody in the chat yesterday, to come up with a shirt that mentions beaver respectfully. Okay? PG-13. And also mention Wolverine. Somebody yesterday said Beaverines. They hashtagged it. And I said, you know what? That would make a great t-shirt. I can use the scene from Wolverines where the guy's yelling it and he's got his gun up in the air, but I can switch it out to a beaver. And it will be our thing here on this channel. You know, because people are always talking about both things. It's classy enough to where Miss Nation reviews everything. She looks at everything. She wants to make sure that I'm not putting something out there I shouldn't be. And God love her for it, because sometimes I would and not realize. Beaverines, that's what I'm talking about, Golden Saucer. And you know what I mean? It's not like in the gutter, but at the same time, it's really cool. So the yellow bag, I have no idea what that means. Jeff Gray, you talking about the Cafe Bastelio? Michelle Phelps, we're not going off the rails. That's hopefully we're not going off the rails. I'm trying to ride that line between not talking about the stuff that's way over in the gutter, but also having a little bit of fun. You know what I mean? Bastelio coffee is really good Cuban coffee. That's probably why I can't find it here. These people have no taste in my area, man. They're just like, you know, they don't care what it is. I'll be able to barter any kind of coffee during SHTF. What kind of coffee do you like? The kind you brew? And most of the time, it's all black. You know, it's black coffee, black coffee. You get laughed at in this area if you put cream in your coffee. Are people becoming more violent in your area? That's a very good question, Jeff. Y'all can let him know in the chat. In my area, I've noticed they're not violent. They're getting a little more rude in stores. You know what I mean? Around here, people usually have manners, but there's a sense of, I don't know how to explain it. There's a sense of panic, and there's just a tenseness in the air ever since we've had started seeing shortages. And people just aren't as friendly as they used to be. Mouthy, somebody, Oklahoma says they're getting mouthy. Diane, pecan coffee is tasty. It sounds tasty. Gas is $3.10 in Georgia. That's where we were at last week. Homestead Homeboy throwing it down. Thank you. Let's go Beaverines. I'll have to go back through so I can give the person credit for that, you know. They're trying to bridge both communities here. Some people talk about the animal, and some people talk about the other one, the Wolverine, in chat always. And somebody just said, hey, let's just marry these two crowds here at Prepper Nation and do so respectfully. We're not going to have a wedding or anything, but maybe a t-shirt or something. I don't know. You folks, especially you newer folks, you will come to understand I suck when it comes to merch and commercialization. People will contact me by email and they're like, hey, we want to put a promotional video or something on your channel, and I just don't even answer. I don't want to do that. You're never going to see me. Let me make this bold statement right now. I've seen so many commercials in the prepping community for Olights that I want to vomit. And I will never work with Olight for this reason. You're never going to see an Olight commercial where I'm walking around saying, oh, it's 500,000 lumens and all this stuff, and you need to get your $150 flashlight right now. I work with BattleBox, but it's a case-by-case deal. I only do something every 3 or 4 months for them, and it's because, they're patriots and they have really good stuff. But I hate the commercially stuff. I really do. And so I ain't interested in it, But the downside is I don't come out with a lot of new shirts and hats and all that stuff that you're going to find somewhere else. Big T, who gets 2 months for paternity leave? I don't know. I didn't even know what you're talking about there. I jumped into the conversation, but 2 months off, if this involves not having to take the dogs out, not having to get my kids ready for school, I would be willing to get pregnant to take 2 months off. I'm not sure how that would work. I guess I could wear one of those special suits, son. 2 months off sounds good. Oh, Pete. Okay, y'all talking about PDB. Okay, I saw that. Yeah, he and his husband welcomed a child. That is awesome, I guess. To each their own. But yeah, where do I sign up? How do I get 2 months off of all that? I just lay in bed the entire time. I don't know how that live stream would look, Sitting there with like silk pajamas on, laying on my bed, like, what's up, nation? John here. Yeah, no, we're going to pass on that. Molly, John, trust me, you do not want to be pregnant. I really don't. I'm just trying to make bring a little lightness to the chat here. No, I don't want to be pregnant. 2 kids is enough, first and foremost. And second, I don't like the doctor. I don't like to go. And they tell me you have to go to the doctor when you're pregnant. Miss Nation, she wanted to go to the doctor. I'm like, honey, I'll get Outlaw Prepper over here. We deliver this thing at home, son. Yeah, she would disagree. Well, no, Michelle, no. Any guys out there deal with a wife that sometimes gets baby fever? Is that just me, or does that actually happen to other guys? So we've went through that a couple of times. No, I'm not a midwife. Thank you, Justin. Yeah, that thought. But yeah, so yeah, we'll close with this. Baby fever. Who knew we were going to be here, right? So baby fever. And she'll say, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have just one more kid? And I'll take her by the hand, all romantic, and I'll walk her into my daughter's bedroom. And I'll say, look at this freaking pigsty, son. Our daughter does not clean her room. And then I'll walk her to my son's room. And, he's got Capri Sun stuff laying everywhere, clothes everywhere. I'm like, look at this. Who's going to clean this up? The kids ain't cleaning it. It's going to be you or me. Listen at the dogs yelping. They need to go out. Are you nuts right now? Are you freaking loco? And then it usually stalls out the baby fever. She comes back down to reality. Oh, man, that's a good question, Candace. Got any Christmas gift suggestions to inspire the prepping mindset in family and friends? Wow. That is a great suggestion, or a great question, rather. Suggestions in the chat, please. I'm going to think on this for a second. Any suggestions? And we're talking about people that do not prep. I would say start them out maybe, especially if they're outdoorsy whatsoever. Start them out with a decent tent or a bug out bag would be, a bug out bag that you put basic stuff in, maybe to spark the fire a little bit, possibly a good knife, a K-bar trench or something like that, just to get them going. Now, if it's, if they're female, I'm thinking male here. If it's a female you're talking about, maybe some canning stuff, because I can tell you firsthand, I never thought my wife would be into canning the way she is, and she has totally become obsessed with it. She loves it. And all it took was, well, Rudy sent over an awesome pressure canner, but the other canner that's not a pressure canner, it wasn't very expensive. We bought it, she tried it a couple times, and she just fell in love with it. So maybe go that route. One or the other. Rifles, that's a good suggestion, but some people are terrified of weapons like that. So it just depends on the individual. Paul just said freeze-dried food, you can't go wrong there. But maybe start out with a bug out bag and put a couple of pouches of freeze-dried food in there to get them started on it. You know what I mean? But, man, that was an excellent question. All right, folks, I'm going to go in. My hands are like, my head's warm, okay, but my face and my hands are like, it's only going to get worse. I don't mean to be a whiner. I'm going to head inside. Thank you. There are bound to be some new faces here because the numbers are through the roof this morning. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with us this morning. We do this every Monday through Friday at 9:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, yeah, I'm going to need some more coffee on this one. But I appreciate y'all being here. God love you, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. God bless.